Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening. On behalf of the senior class, I would like to thank everyone that has made Ligonier what it is, and to everyone watching this wherever you are. To the administration, who keep the school running smoothly and make the tough decisions, thank you. To the faculty, who pour their hearts into teaching so that we can have a bright future and push us to do our best, even when we don't want to. There are lessons you have taught and relationships you've built that will last a lifetime. Thank you. To the support staff, who did so much for each and every one of us, thank you. To the custodial staff, who keep the school in good condition and deal with not-so-clean teenagers, thank you. To each member of our families for the laughs, support, and dedication, thank you. And finally, to our parents and guardians who have supported us through everything and have taught us more lessons than our teachers ever could, we made it. Thank you, and we love you. I stand here before you as senior class president because Gunnar decided to resign after 3 years, and let me tell you, it's been a journey. Our first day of high school, we were all excited to be the top dogs, almost ready to experience the world, but also nervous, not knowing what to expect. We held on to those 3 years as if they would never end through fun and stressful times. Then came the first day of our senior year. Is this real? Are we really almost out of here? Some of us just tried to get through it, while others wanted to challenge themselves for the last time in this setting, but I know most of us couldn't believe it was true. The 90th day came so fast, and we were halfway done. We were looking forward to the fun things we had planned for the rest of our high school careers. Then came the 128th day. It was March 13th. We thought it would only last 2 weeks. We didn't realize it would be our last day of high school. We didn't have a chance to say goodbye. The rest of the year was a blur. The days blended together as more and more extensions were added to self-isolation. This was a testing time for the world clearly, but I want to be selfish. Spring sports seasons, assemblies, field trips, prom, time with friends, a normal graduation, all things that were stripped from us. We go to school for 13 years only to have the most fun 2.5 months taken from us. I have to say though, the class of 2020 is one of the strongest I know. We as Zoomers actually became Zoomers, using Zoom to keep in touch with our teachers, friends, and family. And many managed to push through the worst cases of senioritis anyone has ever seen to get schoolwork done and finish strong. To my classmates, I'd like to thank you for a crazy 4 years, and I just want to say that I am proud of each and every one of us. Now we will have this year's valedictorians, Gunnar Elliott, Hannah Long, and myself, along with salutatorian Zeke Mariotti, give a joint speech.
We would like to begin by thanking our parents and family for all of the love and support they have given us throughout the years.
We would like to thank all of our friends that have been there for us to make us laugh through the good times and help us through the hard times.
We would like to thank our teachers for their continuous support and for always driving us to become better students.
We would like to thank all of our other mentors and role models who have shaped us into the people we are now.
When we decided to write a joint speech, we wanted to show how we have come together as a community over the course of high school. We wanted to show how we have come through this shared experience as unique individuals, each following a different path that happens to cross here at our graduation.
Each of us took our own approach to high school.
Hannah took advantage of every opportunity to learn and try new things.
Zeke knew how to make a joke and lighten the mood.
Maddie vibed with everyone and rolled with the punches.
And Gunnar put forth immense effort into everything he did. We each want to talk about what we did, what we learned, and how we have grown from these experiences.
Joshua J. Marine once said, "Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful." And Jordan B. Peterson said that the purpose of life is finding the largest burden that you could bear and bearing it. To take on life's challenges and to hold its weight over your head is the epitome of the human condition. These burdens that we decide to, or are obligated to, are what makes our life here stimulating yet challenging. Throughout my high school experience, I've been able to discover the hidden resilience that I at first didn't know we all had. I believe we all underestimate our strength and our maximum potential. We're only scraping the tip of the iceberg, but why is that? Well, taking on something with any weight to it carries some sort of consequence, some price that we need to pay. In fact, that price can be painful. We are conscious of how we could be hurt, manifesting itself through fear, but we all wield one of the greatest gifts, courage. To take on the challenge despite the lurking fear of the failure, we choose to pursue our ambitions and take on newfound responsibilities. As we grew up, we all took on more and more responsibilities: jobs, academics, sports, extracurriculars, and family. That weight slowly grew, and to us, we might not have seen how much we've grown and how much stronger we've become, but to our parents, I guarantee they have. However, we have not yet reached our highest potential, and amidst everything that is going on, we have become stronger. We're capable of carrying much more. The culmination of the responsibilities that we've decided to adopt makes our lives purposeful, and in my eyes, there's nothing more important than that principle. Time is limited, so make the most of it. Put forth your utmost effort into everything you do, striving to do the best possible job, tackling everything life decides to throw at you. This go-getter mentality is the approach I've taken in life and in high school, until about a week ago when I decided to do one last thing: write this speech for graduation. I first want to preface this by saying that this is an absolute honor and privilege to be able to stand up here with some of my closest friends and be given the opportunity to let my voice be heard. Now, as the year winds down, as classes officially come to a close, and as the weather finally becomes to feel like summer, all I have to do is write one last speech, one last hurrah, my final high school essay. I told myself, you're not going to get senioritis, you're going to work till the bitter end. Don't lay off and finish this year off strong. And that's what I did. By focusing on each individual assignment and telling myself that my work is the most important thing, I was able to get it done. And that was what I intended for my speech. I'd wanted to sit down, grind it out, and finish it, but something felt different. It wasn't like I didn't want to write a speech at all. I mean, this is an absolute honor. I just didn't have the same drive. I had no idea what I wanted to write about. Having been given control of the reins, I didn't know what I'd wanted to say the most. People all across the world are going to talk about Corona this and Corona that, high school this and high school that. You've all heard it before. So what can I say differently? When we were given this opportunity, Hannah, Zeke, Maddie, and I had made plans to meet nearly every other day to discuss topics and pop off ideas to one another to make it the best we possibly can. Our first meeting was later that day. We sat and talked with each other for a solid couple of hours, not necessarily just on the speech, but about school and life, joking with one another. A couple days later, when I was clearing out my iPad for the last time, I sent Zeke one of our economics skits. Turns out he was going through his iPad at the same time, and so we called each other and talked on the phone for over 2 hours, reminiscing about each and every class we had starting from freshman year, bringing back some of the wild memories we share. Freshman year doesn't seem that long ago, until you really put it into perspective, especially when you look at pictures of yourself then and compare them to now. As the due date drew closer, however, I was still clueless on how to approach writing my speech, and so I called Maddie. And who would have guessed, we managed to stray off and talk about the pool parties she would always have on the last day of school, which started way back in middle school. At this point, it's pretty much tradition. And so finally, it was the night before. I'd sat down and looked at our document, and then it clicked. Speaking about self-discipline, responsibility, hard work, and resilience is good and all, but at the end of the day, I wanted to say more. Deep down, I had a difficult time writing this because, well, I didn't want it to finish it. Once it was done, I was done with high school, but I realized all good things must come to an end. This was my last chance to work with a spectacular group of individuals who are going to go on and crush it, and that goes out to everyone in my class. This is my last chance to see some of my teachers who have helped shape me into the person I am today. This is my last chance to get to possibly see any of my peers again. This is my last chance to make a lasting memory out of high school. This is my last assignment. But with this being the end of our chapter, another will start. And unlike any other, we will be able to take different paths, diverging from one another, but hopefully we will converge once more. And as our story progresses, there is one thing that would stay the same: our beginning, here at Ligonier Valley High School. Congratulations to the class of 2020. You all deserve it. I understand that this is not how we expected nor wanted this chapter to end, but I can assure you, We will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunnar. Okay, I guess I shouldn't have agreed to go after someone who was on the Heritage Conference speech team for 2 years. This is especially considering the fact that I am a huge procrastinator. I wrote this speech the night before we were supposed to have them read by Mr. Byers and Mrs. Washnock. Honestly, it's because I had trouble forming an idea of what I wanted to say. In our time spent talking about this speech, we brainstormed, knowing that Mrs. Kenna would be happy about that. We discussed, keeping our second period AP discussions in mind, and we gave each other insights about how we saw one another. We got to me and what I was going to talk about, and there was no obvious answer. What could I possibly talk about that would hold any weight or significance with anyone watching now? What gave me the right to give some parting advice or speak as a voice for my class? Because the truth is that I started out as a bit of an outsider. I didn't go to middle or elementary school with most of my current classmates. In fact, I'm still constantly discovering new things about my peers. For example, this year I learned that Maddie Pierce is one of the most versatile and thoughtful people I have ever met. Zeke's humor can make just about everyone laugh, and people like Gunnar push those around them to be better. I learned just how strong, kind, and sometimes crazy my friend group is, and the extent to which they have been there for me through these years. And I learned that we have become who we are now because of the things we chose to do and the decisions that led us here. I've had a lot of time to reflect on this year. Too much time, probably. At soccer, my teammates and I would talk about the game and about being a team. At Game Changers meetings, I was able to share my faith and experiences as a Christian athlete. In student council, we were always discussing school issues, fundraisers, volunteering, politics, and the meaning of the word learner. At our youth group's winter retreat, I was given the opportunity to talk about priorities and how we spend our time based on what is truly important to us as individuals. So in reflection, I stumbled upon my topic. I did a lot of things, and I kept agreeing to do more things. Sometimes I struggled, sometimes it was way too much, and I kept agreeing still to do more things. But looking back, it was all worth it. Those late nights junior year doing as many trig problems as I could in order to do well on a test, the late night bus rides home from games or meets, the 4-hour tech week rehearsals for theater, the Saturday mornings we spent with clubs to get volunteer hours in, working in time to spend with my friends, and all the other pesky little things you have to do like sleep and eat and breathe. But for this reason, I wouldn't change any of that. I'm so glad that I tried all of these things. And I'm so grateful that my family always pushed me to do those things to the best of my ability. The theme that we discovered for me, as much as I didn't like the cliche term, was jack of all trades. Now I've been labeled many things. I'm called the mom friend, a walking dictionary, the wicked witch of the West, among other things. But there was something about this label that was interesting. Because yes, I did do a lot. But that was the point of high school for me, to try things, work hard at them, learn something, and move on. We all were able to try things, we worked hard, learned from them, and now we get to move on. I am grateful for this opportunity to share this with all of you, and I hope that we can continue to learn from the things we choose to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for your dedication throughout high school. E.E. Cummings once said, "The most wasted of all days is one without laughter." I'd like to believe that my high school experience has been one that can be summarized pretty well by this previous quote. Ever since freshman year, I always had the approach to school that I wanted to do as well as I possibly could in each class. I had believed that this was important for my future, so I would be prepared for everything after high school. While this is a decent mindset to have in order to get good grades, it's not always best to prioritize grades over everything else. Although I put a great amount of my effort and focus into my classes, I realized that if someone doesn't enjoy what they put most of their time and effort into, then life begins to lose its quality. I believe that I can attribute this way of thinking as to why I chose to treat high school less seriously during the times when stress levels were at their peak. I found it much more fulfilling to try to find humor in all of my classes, even if it may distract me from the more serious aspects of school, like my grades. I understand that taking things less seriously may just seem immature or foolish, and you would probably be right in thinking that. In fact, I know that I've had many teachers who didn't quite appreciate my antics throughout many different points in high school. Adding to that, I'd like to apologize to Senor for having to put up with me and Dayton for the past few years. Although, what would El Clase de Español have been without a little excitement? Along with Senora, most of my other teachers had to deal with me for at least one semester, which is a task itself. Gunnar could tell anyone what it's like after sitting next to me for 4 years and having to listen to an elegant assortment of jokes and sounds. This may appear to have made high school unnecessarily chaotic, but I feel very strongly that if I wouldn't have chosen to act how I did, then I don't think high school would have been a tenth as memorable as it was. Without the extra commotion, many of my classes would have been an insignificant blur that I wouldn't have ever thought about after stepping out of their doors. Fortunately, my collection of high school memories has been extensive, and it would be impossible to be able to recount them all. I don't think I could bring up high school memories in a graduation speech without mentioning one student in particular, Michael Garbaccio Garvey. He has been a phenomenal classmate and teammate of mine throughout these past 4 years, and quite possibly has the most versatile name of anyone I've ever met. As previously mentioned, all good things must come to an end. But despite that, this year had an unfortunate lack of finality. I know it has been repeated over and over, but this is not how most of us anticipated going out. My first reaction to being out of school was to feel heartbroken and that we were cheated as seniors because we missed out on some of the best months of high school. But then I looked back to what high school has been for me. I may have missed out on a few months of memories, but I had already created ones that will stick with me forever. I already have been able to have amazing experiences with some of my closest friends. I came to the realization that I should attempt to see all the good that is still in my life within all of the negatives. I felt that I had been allowed to make light of the current stresses, similarly to how I had done the same during these past years, and it is a mentality that I hope to bring with me wherever life sends me next. At the end of the day, we all have put in a great amount of our time in order to be here and graduate from high school. I feel confident that our class of 2020 will go on to become greater than we could have imagined.
Thank you, Zeke. I appreciate all of the laughs throughout high school, and I hope you can continue life with that mentality. Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Life, it throws things at you. You never know what tomorrow will bring, and high school, well, it's an interesting part of life. All of us have gone through our own battles, losses, heartache, stress, but there was one thing that has remained constant. 3 simple letters: God. Looking back on my high school career, I could not have told you what it would look like this. These 4 years have been a whirlwind of amazing memories and hardships, all culminating with an experience I will never forget. My faith, however, is what got me through it, along with incredible family, friends, mentors, and others who were such a strong and loving community. Come freshman year, I began to come out of my shell, saying yes to everything I possibly could because who knows if I would pass up an incredible opportunity. Similarly to Hannah, I would make time to fit in my social life with my schoolwork at the risk of little sleep, but I have no regrets. I would try my best to make time for prime time and chill, unless I had to study for an AP Gov test, of course, because the godly community and mentors that I had through them were something I could not live without. Even through clubs, part-time jobs, sports, and so much more, I would get as involved as possible because I wasn't sure where God was going to use me. In addition to exploring opportunities, I, as these 3 would say, vibed with everyone as best I could. It's not always easy to get along with everyone, but I just loved to get to know people because I didn't know what anyone had been through or what they had to offer. I just wanted to live in that moment and smile and enjoy the life that God has blessed us with. His love is strong, so ours should be too. Don't take any moment, memory, or person for granted. Hear them out and get to know them. It's all part of God's divine plan, so we need to act like it. Despite me learning this lesson of God's plan all throughout high school, it was solidified during these pressing times. When quarantine struck, everything that we had grown accustomed to and even relied on was gone, and what was left? God was. He is the only fail-safe, surefire thing that we can trust in. So throughout my own battle of isolation, God was testing me even more. Would I be able to recognize His presence and love? Sure, I was extremely upset that His plan didn't match up with the one that I had made for myself, but that wasn't my call to begin with. I had gotten so caught up with creating my own reality that I forgot who was truly in control. Throughout a world of uncertainty, my faith had only gotten stronger. So I guess the moral of the story is I didn't know. No one knows what life will look like. I rolled with every punch and took every opportunity and tried to love everyone as best I could. No, I wasn't perfect at it, but life is too short for regrets, and I do not regret walking with Jesus every step of the way. No matter what was thrown at me, I was able to get through it because of my faith and the people surrounding me. God's plan has given me some of the best years of my life. I was able to create memories with some of the most amazing, talented, and generous people I know. I will miss these people and this place dearly. I am grateful that God's plan ended up looking like this.
We are grateful to have had the opportunity to speak on this monumental occasion.
We hope that we have been able to show you how we have grown.
We are optimistic that we will become better versions of ourselves as we face different obstacles.
Congratulations, class of 2020. The keys to the future are in your hands.
Come true.
Dr. Oldham, Mrs. Kurtzel, members of the school board, parents, and members of the class of 2020, welcome to Ligonier Valley High School's annual commencement ceremony. This has been quite a year and has not ended the way that we expected or wanted. Every generation has perceived strengths and weaknesses based off of the perceptions of employers, educators, parents, and previous generations. Your generation, Generation Z, is no different. According to Forbes, Generation Zs are passionate. Like never before, this generation is motivated by idealism and the desire to find meaning and joy in what they do. Generation Zs are digitally engaged. They will help keep us on trend and culturally relevant. They are technology wizards and can train older generations how to navigate today's complex social networks. They have important opinions and cultural trends. Generation Zs are multitaskers and highly adaptable. They are jacks of all trades and can become competent in many fields. They have a level of agility to react to changing environments and are very comfortable trying new things and learning new skills. Generation Zs are able to perform well under pressure, even with unknown outcomes. The end of the school year and the new normal will enhance and hone this characteristic to become possibly the biggest strength of this generation. On the other end of the spectrum, Generation Zs have been described as impatient and entitled. Impatient is described in a dictionary as wanting something to happen as soon as possible and easily gets annoyed by waiting. I think we can all identify with that at times, but I would argue that the world we live in produces this trait more and more. The instant access to everything reinforces this feeling. Our current situation has been a dramatic change for many people and has denied access to everything from going to school to getting your hair cut. Being entitled is believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. So having a Ryzen Jr. in my house, I have witnessed the feeling of her being the center of the universe. If there is one element to come out of this pandemic, is the act of sacrifice for others. According to many scientists, the effects of COVID-19 on most young people would not be as fatal as our older population, and many of the restrictions have been put in place to protect our more vulnerable population. You will not see it now through all the sacrifices you have had to endure, but you will help lead us through what the new normal will be and use these experiences to help guide your decisions. I would like to finish with a quote from Forbes magazine. You don't have the right to the cards you believe you should have been dealt. You have an obligation to play the ones you're holding. As the appointed representative of Ligonier Valley School District, I hereby certify that these learners have successfully completed the prescribed course requirements of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Ligonier Valley School District. I recommend their graduation, and I now proudly present the class of 2020 to our superintendent, Dr. Christine Oldham.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor. On behalf of the Ligonier Valley School District Board of Education, I accept the graduating class of Ligonier Valley High School 2020. Well, graduating class of 2020, congratulations, you made it. As the result of incredible circumstances, you are entering what the world is calling the new normal. Although I have been wondering, what is normal? When I was growing up, anytime someone faced a challenge of any kind, my grandmother would say, they're building character. For certain, you have all built character. The question is, what kind of character have you built? Did you know character is built as we persevere through our circumstances? Did you know that the result of a strong moral character is hope for self and for others? So, what does hope result in? First, it doesn't result in an acceptance of what is handed. Hope brings encouragement. Hope creates motivation. Hope inspires solutions to every problem. Hope initiates bravery. and bravery is what moves the human race forward. With that being said, my hope for you is that you do not accept a new normal, but that you bravely step forward and create a renewed normal. This is what the world needs from you as you begin to take hold of an unknown future. Hope, bravery, renewal. I can't wait to see where you take this world. Now, go live the dream, change the world, and make history. Congratulations.
Madison Rose Pierce. Gunnar Emerson Elliott. Hannah Margaret Long. Ezekiel Anthony Mariotti. Blair Christopher Adams. Bethany Lauren Alfieri. Braden Keith Allen. Benjamin Garrett Anderson. Dakota James Ansel. Olivia Rose Anto. Paige Elizabeth Antos. Jasper Ellis Arnone. Benjamin Harrison Balthaser. John Doyle Beard III. Madison Page Beatty. Megan Grace Betts. Taylor Elizabeth Boytosh. Alyssa Danielle Boring. Ethan Michael Boring. Madison Elizabeth Boddicker. Dayton William Bouch. Malia Paige Bouch. Damiana Pearl Bradley. Myrna Louise Briegel. Cody Joseph Bronson. Jameson Walker Brown. Peyton Merle Caldwell. Rebecca Danielle Caldwell. Caitlin Marie Carney. Maria Christine Carney. Kaylee Marie Colt. Logan Zane Cook. Luke Michael Cornish. Sadie Ray Kramer. Molly Jennifer Davis. Corey James Deist. Bradley Lynn Depew. Brandon Michael DeWitt. Cody Brian DeWitt. Garrett Edward Dodson. Phoenix Jennifer Doty. Thomas Cage Dowden. Clayton Robert Drury. Joseph Brian Ursick. Gavin Quinn Ute. Zachary Tyler Fieldson. Brian Cole Finley. Cheyenne Marie Finfrock. Alexander Scott Fritz. Jacob James Fry. Michael Garbaccio Garby. Jane Dangott Garver. Elizabeth Michelle Gentry. Gabriel Theodore Gonda. Donovan Wesley Graham. Abigail Marie Grychek. Alyssa Jane Gross. Sharon Rose Hafer. Joshua Tristan Haynes. Amanda Jane Hakel. Megan Marie Hakel. Alicia Lynn Hall. Clark Anthony Haar. Molly Elizabeth Henderson. Ashley Ann Hofecker. Riley Shallon Hood. Abigail Elizabeth Horner. Tyler Jarrett Ritz. Brooke Renee Hughes. Christian Burns Jablonski. Emma Grace Jackman. Brianna Marie Jasper. Dylan James Jellison. Adam Orion Johnston. Grant Alexander Johnston. Aiden Edward Kelly. Danny Mark Kelly, Jr. Sarah Elizabeth Kim. Maxfield Scott Klein. Christopher Joseph Latin, Jr. Mary Grace Laughlin. Catherine Elizabeth Lawson. Mackenzie Renee Lear. Ryder Cole LeBlond. Michaela Nicole Lenhart. Jackson Garin Ludwig. Harrington Darwin Luther. Michael Joseph Marinchek IV. Amira Estrella Navarra Rice Marolis. Julia Grace Mason. Peyton Scott Matson. Grace Elizabeth Most. Dylan Michael McLean. Leo Jean McGinnis. Courtney Lynn McElveen. Cameron Michael Mears. Kiri Jacob Miller. Cooper Ian Mills. Erica Faith Moore. Jenna Hope Moore. Mia Elizabeth Morgan. Audrey Serena Murrin. Mackenzie Elise Mertlin. Meryl Catherine Niederheiser. Andrea Nicole Nelson. Lucas Patrick Neppa. Alexander Thomas Painter. Miranda Grace Palmer. Kendra Blair Pecora. Michael Joseph Petroff. Tyler Charles Pickup. Angeline Marie Piper. Katie Lynn Pleskovich. Taryn Lynn Reethy. Brooke Nicole Rodman. Sarah Marie Ross. McKenna Marie Rummel. James Andrew Sarver. Samuel James Sheeter. Lily Ireland Sheriff. Cade Nicholas Bloom Short. John Wayne Silk. Kyle Joseph Silk. Jordan Nicole Smith. Lexi Elizabeth Smith. Nicole Taylor Smithley. Leah Nicole Speck. Wiley Charles Spiker. Zoe Frances Marie Springer. Austin Lee Steffi. Blake Allen Sullenberger. Hunter James Telford. Robert Jackson Todd III. Alex Owen Torrance. Ian Francis Triling. Dominic Michael Trice. Hannah Elaine Turchak. Cameron Garrett Vavrick. Colby Devon Vavrick. Isabella Sophia Wenzel. Lexi Ray Wilkins. Madison Ray Wing. Dirk Wynn. Owen Mitchell Yonker.
Presenting the graduates of 2020. Thank you.